All right. Okay, today, Monday, December 11th, and it is 6:10, and we will now start our meeting for the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council. So with that said, why don't we start off with the flag salute, and let's see. No, we'll do the flag salute first. Cynthia, would you like to do the flag salute?
Stand, please, for the flag. Cheers. Together, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. My kids took the lightsaber.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and start off with agenda item number 1, and that's roll call. And so, Mr. Christensen?
Leila Aguilera is excused. John Barbera.
Here.
Vic Christensen here. John D'Amiglio.
Here.
Craig Goldfarb is excused. Cynthia Gagne.
Here.
Gwen Henry.
Present.
Melanie Lebrecq.
Present.
Kelly Miller.
Here.
Abby Norman.
Here.
Thomas Norman.
Present.
Ray Regalado.
Here.
Michael Signorelli.
Here.
Adam Stevenson.
Here.
Angela Sumner.
Here.
And Chris Valle is also excused. So if I count right, we have 13, but let me double check. Yes, we have 13 present.
Okay, we have quorum. That closes up agenda item number 1. Let's move on to, well, let me just say something. We're close to the holidays. This is our, close to the holiday meeting.
Sorry.
Her pacemaker.
Sorry.
Ready?
Huh?
No?
It's a little high because I just ate. Sorry.
Okay. So if we can all try to work together today to try to make our meeting today as compact as possible so we can all leave as early as possible, because, we have people who support us here today, John, Cheryl, and the Peck Park crew, so we don't keep them late. So anyway.
Just me, Ray.
Let's, just a courtesy for all, let's try to keep our comments brief, and we'll move on from there. So with that said, general public comment, I have 2 public comment cards, and if anyone wants to make a public comment, please fill out a card, find them in the back. And we'll start off, and I'm going to name them off as I received them. So Gwen Henry, as a stakeholder.
So the Harbor Animal Shelter continues to be in a state of distress. They still have animals that are lining the hallways and in the lobby. Now, Stacey Daines was sworn in as the General Manager of Animal Services on July 1st, 2023. She conducted a tour of the shelters on July 25th, and she announced many different actions that she was going to take, including creating a media campaign in order to encourage volunteers to foster and adopt pets that languish in the shelters. The campaign has not yet been released, much less discussed in any further detail. She specifically made it her goal to get this accomplished before the holidays. The holidays are here. Enlisting the community to reduce the overcapacity conditions of the shelter at Harbor Shelter. The community, if asked, will likely foster dogs and cats, but currently 0 adult cats are being fostered by community members. 2 dogs are being cared for by people within the community who volunteered to foster until they are adopted. Within the shelter system, West Valley has the most foster volunteers for dogs. 14 have been pulled out by the community members. And across the board for all the shelters, it's mostly 0 dogs and cats being fostered. There's no outreach of any kind currently. Once again, Stacey Daines created these actions. It's December. The holidays are a prime time when many of the other shelter systems are starting to do advertisements, and this is not happening that I have seen in any way on the news or in social media. It would really take just a simple Facebook post. I hope that Community Issues will take up this. Is it? Yeah. 2 minutes? Oh. So I hope that Community Issues will take this up and ask what's going on with the general manager to try to request that this occur. That a social media campaign be started immediately. Stacey Daines could be the head and the voice for the shelter system if she wants to be on Channel 5 or any of the local stations. Thank you.
Cheryl.
You need to push that in and look where that's at.
Okay.
It's right at the edge, though. The pin is right at, yeah.
To see the top, I guess.
There you go. Yeah, bump that tail. It would have went down. Yeah.
Okay, speaker card number 2. This is the last one that I have, and that is Victor Christensen as a stakeholder.
Just a quick update on the Council File 1113 that is associated with SB 411 that tells Dunn to do a report on providing the resources for neighborhood councils to go back to virtual. I did see that there is a report available on the council website. I haven't had a chance to look through it yet, so I can't give you any details. I'm hoping that maybe somebody might be able to, but I don't know if he's had a chance to look at it either. So I just wanted to let you know it's out there, and you can review it if you want to. And I'll try to have more details next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that closes agenda item number 2. We'll move on to agenda item number 3. That'll be our homelessness liaison report. Lori Jacobs.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, on the table over there, I'll start off with the homeless count. I put some flyers. Registration is now open if you would like to help with the homeless count. You can help with the count in any of the locations, but if you choose to be in San Pedro, I have a QR code that will take you right to that page. You need to be 18 or older to do it. You don't need any experience to be part of the homeless count, and really, while it's just a one-night point-in-time count, counting every unhoused person is needed for us to secure services, and this is a requirement by the federal government. If you have any questions, you could reach out to me. The registration is live. The training is not live yet, but that will be. You can do online training at your convenience. And the CD15 Working Group on Homelessness continues to meet every month. This month, we had a presentation from LASA on the homeless count. We talked a lot about housing. One thing that LASA asked us to do, if you're going to report something in LA HOP, because resources are so scarce, they'd rather you didn't report somebody unless you've seen them more than once in the same location, because they're sending these outreach teams all over the place because you saw somebody one time in front of a bank building or whatever, and they can't find them, and they have to go out there at least 3 times to try to. So they're saying if you, I don't going to say whether I agree or disagree, I'm just the messenger. This is what they've said. If you see them 2 times in one location, chances are, and be as clear as possible what time. because people are very transitory, and if you can see what they're wearing. One thing they're working on too is adding the ability for you to take a picture in your, not necessarily take a picture of the person, but the location, because people sometimes don't know the address because they just drove by, they're describing it. So, and let's see. We had a whole bunch of questions at the working group from LASA about LA HOP. You could look through a report. I won't go through each one of those issues there. If you have a question, like I said, reach out for me. The winter shelters, because of the cold weather, started on November 1st. We haven't had extreme rain yet. But if anybody is out there and they need help, I personally have a whole supply of rain ponchos. It won't keep people warm, but it'll keep them dry. Maybe the pastor would like a collection of those, a supply rather. The winter shelters, we really don't have many in our general area. There's nothing in San Pedro. The closest one is in Long Beach. Currently has 35 beds. They're trying to add 40 more. And hopefully the 211 is going to work better this year. So if you see somebody or you know of anybody experiences, they can call 911 for shelter bed availability, and they say they're going to provide transportation for the person. So that's really important too. And then on the report, I have a link to winter shelters. So if you have more questions on that, you could go there. Okay, I don't see anybody from CD15, so I'll give this update. The harbor area had what was called a therapeutic van pilot program that was kind of based out off of Terminal Island. And it was an emergency van if somebody was having some type of psychotic episode or needed emergency medical attention. It wasn't working real well to have one van deployed at Terminal Island. So the city council approved a recommendation to move it, and our council member McCosker is working on trying to redefine the program by testing different types of direct communication between responders and the fire department and LAPD, and analyze the 911 calls so that this is a more fruitful plan that it's really helping. I know the county is still trying to get more mental health and alternative crisis response vans out there. I'll keep you posted on that. LA City Council moved forward on a plan to limit hikes on rent-controlled units. I have information on that. They approved a proposal that would allow up to a 4% rent increase or 6% if the landlord covers their utilities for rent-stabilized units. So they're going to, and that starts, I believe, in February. So you can look through my notes on that. The mayor, I don't see Jocelyn here either, is working on an independent nonprofit that's called We Are LA. And in fact, she has a call tomorrow. Everybody can listen in at 9 a.m. She calls you and you can listen to all her updates. But it's also on her website. So she's really trying to work on finding more attorneys to provide legal assistance, because we have Stay Housed LA helping people who have gotten an eviction notice that they don't think is valid, and we don't have enough attorneys even providing, free services to cover it. So she's trying to get a fund together to give more assistance there. There's a lot of information on tenant protections. I told you last month that I'd give you an update on a bunch of LA City Council motions. I can't keep up with them. They're changing so fast, but I would just be able to tell you what's been proposed. I'd rather wait till things have actually gone through City Council and voted on. But it seems like a lot of different City Council members are turning in similar ones, and I can't keep up with the housing, so I'll do what I can to get that information. But one thing I did want to wrap up with is LA County's Pathway Home and Master Leasing programs. And if you're not familiar with Master Leasing, LASA had this program called Lease Up, and it's just been slow going, but now they're trying to take it to the next level. So basically, I know I have a description of it. They try to find apartment buildings, well, let me go back. Quite often when a tenant, if somebody gets a voucher, they're experiencing homelessness, they finally get a voucher, they're responsible for finding their own apartment to match up with. Okay, and everybody's going after all the same ones. That's a problem to begin with. Then they have low credit, low income. There's so many barriers, and then they can't come up with a security deposit right away. So they're losing out on these, and then eventually the vouchers expire. So the master leasing program takes the landlord out of the equation, and like LASA or an organization, the Council of Governments is looking to do this, and they take over, and the tenant will deal with that organization. They'll make sure the landlord's paid, but then you will remove the barrier of low credit, low income, all of those things. So they're hoping that this will really open a lot more doors and remove these barriers to getting people housed. So I'm watching that one really carefully. It's in the very last paragraph of this whole report I have. It should alleviate some of the barriers. It has the potential to drastically reduce street-based homelessness in a short period of time. These strategies capitalize on the existing stock of available apartment units. So you can read through that. I'm encouraged by this because we've just been on a hamster wheel with trying to get housing. And so I could obviously go on for hours about what's going on homelessness, but that's a general report if anybody has any questions. And I have links to all the programs on the report.
Thank you, Lori, for all your work. Let's go ahead and open it up for public comment, but we'll start around the table. Cynthia?
Those vouchers, do they come in different denominations?
A voucher isn't for an amount. A voucher is to make it available for them to have Section 8 housing. It depends what the landlord's renting it for. And then some of the vouchers, if it's a subsidized housing, the tenant's required to pay, I believe it's 30%, of their income. And if they start to make more, then they'll be responsible to pay more. But all of the vouchers come with permanent, with wraparound services, case management, help in finding jobs, mental health help, anything else that they might need to get themselves back on track. Did that answer your question?
I have the second part.
Sure.
And if the vouchers are only good for so long, if they get it like it's only good for a month, does that mean they move into the place, say an apartment for a month, and then they have to leave?
No, the voucher is just to get them matched up. Once they're in, they're in. Okay. Section 8 is for forever kind of thing. So, and there's longer extension time periods. We had emergency housing vouchers from the federal government during COVID. Those are now over. Those are expired. Section 8 doesn't really expire. The problem is there's like a 5-year waiting list to get a Section 8 voucher. That's.
Any other questions from Gwen?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that last bit, because what I recall, Section 8, I actually have two bits. Section 8, it's still a 5-year waiting list. Has there been an expansion of Section 8 housing available, and there's just an increase in people, or, I mean, is it...
The mayor's building. She has fast-tracked new housing. She's loosened the requirements for construction, for permits. One big thing she did is, it used to be you had like all these different permits and you had to get them one at a time. She made it that you can get them all together to speed up the process. But the fact is we only have so much land and we have to build up. If we can't build out, she's got programs where she's trying to take motels and convert them into housing. There's all kinds of things that she's trying to do.
And the other question I had actually was about rent control housing. 1978 has been the cap, the year. Has there ever been any discussion of stepping forward to later years? Because the inventory of housing from 1978 and older, it gets, it gets torn down. So, I mean, is there any legislation or any discussion about
That's probably more suited to ask Councilmember McCosker. I don't profess to be an expert on the housing. I find it actually quite complex and overwhelming, and you're dealing with the city and the county, and then I'm dealing with South Bay City, so I can't really answer that. I know that what it says here, the city's rent stabilization ordinance was adopted in 1979, and it applies to rental housing built before 78.
Correct.
And that's what you're referring to.
Correct. But it hasn't changed for since 1979.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And I can tell you on a personal level that most people who know me that seniors are one of the fastest growing demographics of homelessness, and they're on fixed incomes, and their insurance costs and things are going up so quickly. I'm working, and I've talked to Loss about this, on senior housing, senior homelessness prevention through home sharing. So if we don't build new housing, we have plenty of people that are living in houses that have plenty of bedrooms, and they can't even afford to upkeep them with the costs going up. So if they are willing to rent out a room, so I'm working with somebody who's strictly on seniors on fixed income, that could open up more opportunities. Everybody's working on everybody who's already homeless. I'm trying to work on prevention. So
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other hands around the table, so, go ahead, John.
Yeah, it seems to me that they keep relying on the business owners, the apartment owners, to take up the slack that the city's lacking. That's the problem. There's a big piece of property right in the middle on 6th Street that's flat right now that could be a homeless unit there, a homeless building there. They put a homeless building over on 1st Street at the Best Western, and it's working out great. There's security around it. I don't see any problems around there. It's just that they don't want to do it, and they expect everybody else to do it, and that's where they're failing.
Well, I think the master leasing program that I mentioned takes the burden off the property owners to ensure that they get paid their rent and people still can get past some of the barriers that are stopping them. One thing is, in a credit report, what's not included in a credit report is somebody's past history of paying rent. So if they've paid rent for years on time and utilities on time, but heaven forbid they paid their Best Buy credit card bill late, they look like they have bad credit. These are some of the things that are just not fair. But I do think, John, that the master leasing really addresses the issues with property owners. At least I hope so.
Okay, let's go ahead if there are any questions from the audience. I see no hands.
Sorry.
Okay, Kelly, you'll take the last question.
Can I clarify that it's not 911 we call, it's 211?
Correct. 211 for the... Did I say 911? Well, my lips were not matching what I was reading. No, it's yes, no, it's 911's just for emergency. 211 is for the winter shelters and to get transportation. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Sorry about that.
All right. Thank you, Lori. Okay, that brings us to the end of agenda item number 3. We'll go to agenda item number 4. This is for elected governmental and public safety representatives. Just for your all information, Drew from CD 15 will be here a little late, so we'll give her an opportunity to say something when she gets here. But I do see another city representative here who may want to say a few words. Octaviano?
I don't know if there was anybody else. Good evening, everybody. I'm Octaviano with the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. It's been a while, maybe 2 months since I've seen you all. I've been sick, but there's also been some staffing issues with our department, so everything kind of jumbled up. So as you know, we're running pretty smoothly with our Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. The deadline to submit an application for the job of general manager was last week, so you'll hear in the future how that's going and who gets appointed ultimately by the mayor and also confirmed by the city council. To get into the report here, just have a some brief updates. The deadline this week, December 18th, for the department's Empower LA Youth Conference is up at almost 12 o'clock at night. So we're looking for about 50, maximum 50 youth, 14 to 17, that are interested in civic engagement, politics, working with our neighborhood councils, those that are currently working with our neighborhood councils now, and those that maybe want to be more engaged with the city of LA through our neighborhood council system. So there is an application out there floating around. We're asking all of our neighborhood councils to help promote that opportunity, and that deadline is going to be December 18th. So if you can help us spread the word. Last I heard, we had a little less than 25 applicants. So if I know youth, and I was a youth at one point, we're procrastinators, so nudge them a bit, encourage them. It is kind of a big system. It is intimidating to work with adults, so a welcoming hand and a warm hand to welcome them into the system in any capacity, not just with this one-day conference would help. So it is a one-day conference. They will be fed not just fantastic information and knowledge about getting engaged civically. We'll have guest speakers, we'll have staff there, but there will also be some food. So it's limited to, like I said, 50. And if they want more information, I can certainly provide that one-on-one. So feel free to share my email, my phone number to them. And I'll do my part to also encourage our youth to engage with this particular one-day conference. Let's see, virtual meetings. So a lot of information. I haven't been here for a while, but you've probably been getting inundated with emails, not just from the department, but from ourselves and probably from others in the system. It's a hot issue in terms of participating virtually. So we did it because of the pandemic, and then we went in person, and now we have the option, thanks to SB 411, to be able to vote as a neighborhood council to have that option to go back virtually. And so that's what you have on your agenda tonight. And last I checked, in terms of our report from all 99 neighborhood councils, it's kind of slow to come into fruition for all of our neighborhood councils to get it on the agenda. So not everybody is meeting virtually just yet, and not everybody has approved that option for themselves. So with that being said, there are two requirements here that the city council has approved and required for our neighborhood councils. It's 2/3 of all of your seats. Those board members need to approve a meeting virtually, and two, at least one justification as to why have a virtual meeting. You can have more justifications, but at least one, and that's through a community impact statement, a CIS, filed with the city. What else can I? If you have any questions, let me know about that. I don't have any other updates, unfortunately. I know there's another council file related to meeting virtually, which relates to an interest with the city to consider funding neighborhood councils' equipment and tech support, which can be very expensive. I know some neighborhood councils out there have purchased some pretty pricey items to meet in a hybrid environment, and some neighborhood councils are kind of hesitant to spend thousands of dollars on equipment. They'd rather spend it on MPGs and whatnot. So that's a topic of discussion. So to be continued with each neighborhood council, and each neighborhood council is very, very unique. T-shirts. We have the T-shirts.
We do, really?
I know John has been asking for them every time I come here. So we have some T-shirts for those that have submitted their size to me. I have them in my trunk. You can. I'll stick around afterwards if you want yours. If you did submit your size. If you didn't, and I know this was back in January, February, And I know we have some new board members. If you want a department T-shirt, nice cotton, very thin, don't wear it in the winter, wear it in the summer, kind of style, darkish blue, department blue. And I know you have your own shirts, but nice quality. It says neighborhood councils on it. And if you want one and you didn't submit a size back a few months ago,
What if you don't know if you submitted one or not?
email me. What's that?
I don't know if I did or not.
I think you did. You did mail it, yeah. I have a list written for myself, so if you come up to me during the meeting or after. But if you didn't submit a size, just email me, and we'll get that to you. The maximum size that we have is 2X, 2XL. So I just confirmed that a few minutes ago. I think that's it. And I brought my family to Peck Park on Saturday. Thank you so much for the hospitality and for the deep representation that Northwest had there. It was such a good time. A little chilly, but, it's California, Southern California, right? How chilly can it be? But the snow was awesome. So thank you so much for that engagement and having that booth out there. And happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you, Octaviano.
Thank you.
So we'll open it up for public comment. We'll take questions from around the table first. Anyone, please raise your hand. And I see no. Oh, okay, John.
For these young kids, is it going to be on a weekend?
I believe it's going to be on a Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
And are you guys providing any transportation for them to get there?
Oh, it is Saturday, January 27th. Good question. I think not. And I don't know if we have in the past. It's been such a long time since the pandemic that I don't remember if we actually provided a bus, which would be kind of a task, right? Because we're kind of trying to encourage all 12 regions to be represented.
Right.
So I'll let you know. Let you all know.
Okay, thank you. I gave up on the shirts 3 months ago.
Did you? When you stopped seeing me, forget it. But look, it's on a Saturday. It's relatively quiet for in LA in terms of going up to 110. And if a parent or a relative is accompanying the youth, City Hall is a fantastic building to take a tour of, going all the way to the top, 27th floor or whatnot. So on a clear day, you can see you can see the ocean, you can see Catalina Island, you can see Dodger Stadium. So that's an incentive in itself. They won't get fed, most likely. It'll probably be just the youth that's participating. So no promises there.
Okay, anyone else around the table? I see no hands. Okay, from the audience, and I see Lori.
I'm wondering if they would consider for the youth day to raise the age limit to maybe 19 or 20 so you can get some youth college students. I plan, once the new general manager's in there, to ask for a change for our youth seat.
Thank you.
Which they forced us to change to a lower age. So maybe you could get more attendance if you had 18, 19, and 20-year-olds, which I would still consider.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Youths, I think we all do. So if you if you don't have a lot of representation here in the region, and last I heard you were pretty, I think you had a few applicants already. But if you have some really serious applicants, let me see what I can do. No promises, but send it my way and we can have a discussion.
Okay, any other questions? I see no more hands. Okay, Octaviano, thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you all.
Happy holidays to you and your family.
Thank you.
Okay, like I said, Drew is supposed to be here. She did call me and let me know that she will be a little late. She's staffing the council member at another location. She said she will be here after she's through with that task. We have no public safety representatives here. However, for you around the table, there are some stats, crime stats, so take a look at them. We'll thank Senior Lead Officer Valoni for this.
Yeah, he's.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move on until we get Drew here. We're going to go to the consent calendar, agenda item number 5. Oh, and I saw some youth that might have come in. Can you raise your hand, or so that we can make sure that we get your name and
just have their
information, and then we can sign off on them later on. So hang around until we get that opportunity. All right, consent calendar. We have 4 items. Approve the November 13th board and stakeholder meeting minutes. B, approve adding Abby Norman to the Youth and Outreach Committee. That's out of Youth and Outreach. C, approve comment letter on berth 91 through 94, low carbon cement processing facility. That's out of the Port, Environment and Sustainability Committee. And the final one is approve comment letter on John S. Gibson truck and chassis parking lot, again out of Port, Environment and Sustainability. So with that, do I hear a motion?
I motion that we approve these.
Pardon me?
I move.
I move
Oh,
to approve these.
okay. All right.
Sorry.
It's moved by Kelly
Second.
and second by John B. Any comments? I see no hands for comments, so let's go ahead and take the vote count.
Okay, John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. John Miglio.
Abstain.
Cynthia Gagne.
Yes. Yes.
Gwen Henry.
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq.
Yes. Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Abby Norman.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Yes?
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Adam Stevenson.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Okay, that's 12 ayes, 1 abstention, so that carries.
All right. Great. All right. Agenda item number 6, motions. We have 3 sets of motions from 3 different committees. We'll start off with, you know what, just out of, just to give you a chance to leave if you like. Planning and Land Use Committee, would you like to do yours first? I'm going to take them out of order.
Oops. Oh, there he is. Okay, good evening. There's 2 motions out of Planning and Land Use. I think I'll take the second one first because it's really simple. It's the one on page 33. I probably should have just put it on the consent calendar, but didn't think about it in time. It is comments on the zoning story map. I mentioned to you that there is this new zoning code for Los Angeles, and they're in the process of translating our existing zoning into the new zoning code. As one of the steps in that process, they've put out what they call the zoning story map, which is both some narrative and an actual map. It's a map where you can actually look at the existing zoning and what the new zoning in terms of density would look like to make sure that they've done it accurately. We did see a few things, not in terms of the specific on the density, but a few other things that we thought needed to be taken care of. I think of interest to this group is that we're asking that they change, and this would actually be a zoning change, and I don't know if they'll do it, the area on North Gaffey that is now zoned to allow the AmeriGas, the Rancho Holdings. We're asking that be changed to light industrial. Whether they'll make that zoning change or not, I don't know, because they're not supposed to be changing zoning in this, but that's one of the requests in here. We also ask, it looks like the Gaffey Greenbelt and the Channel Street Skate Park were not designated as government-owned, which they need to be since they're owned by the Port of L.A. And we point out that the Welcome Park and that little park at the end of Bandini Canyon seem to be removed from the map and need to be added back. We suspect that as we look at the map more, that we will find more things. So these were just some initial comments. And that's it on that one.
Out of committee.
Out of committee.
Very good. So we'll open it up for comment, questions around the table, please. Anyone? I see no hands. Out in the audience, any comment, questions? Okay, can we take the vote?
Okay, John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. John DeMiglio.
No.
Cynthia Gagne.
Aye.
What?
She said aye.
Okay. Gwen Henry.
Yes.
Melanie Lebrecq.
Aye.
Kaylee Miller.
Yes.
Abby Norman.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Aye.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Adam Stevenson.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Okay, it's 12 ayes and 1 no.
Okay, the next item is a proposed comment letter on the proposed specific plan for Rancho Palos Verdes, for Rancho San Pedro. Why did I say Rancho Palos Verdes? Rancho San Pedro. It starts on page 25 in your agenda packet. Just as a reminder, the proposed project would replace the existing units with 1,600 units, of which 1,100 would be affordable, including 45 affordable for sale units. The rest of them would be market rate. There was an EIR, and we submitted comments on the EIR. The EIR has been approved, but it was approved with two interesting changes. The first change was based on something we actually said in our comment letter. So it was like kind of nice to see that it made a difference. Our comment was that they should use the household income, the household size. They should look at the size of Rancho San Pedro rather than looking at the whole of San Pedro. So they made that change, which caused them to change a lot of other numbers to make it more dense in terms of population. But it didn't have any significant impacts in the long run. The other change, which was also interesting, came out of a comment from AQMD, and it had to do with the air quality emissions. And again, they had to go back and made a lot of changes throughout their document to change the impacts of air quality emissions. So the EIR has been approved. The next step is the specific plan, which is the plan that gives all the details, where the housing is going to be, how high it's going to be, where the parklands are, where there's going to be commercial. It's got a lot in it, where the recreational areas are, talks about the streets, street closures that I talked about last time. And so this is comments on that plan. And our letter is organized in the same way that they organized the plan. Our first real comment was on parking. Currently, they have a half a parking space per unit. They're going to increase that to 1 parking space per unit, which meets the code. However, our comment, and we wrote quite a bit about it, is that still isn't enough. They need more than that. The second comment was something that we actually raised during the EIR process, and that was the library. And we are suggesting that they include a satellite library with an area for story time and a study hall, and or a plan for providing regular transportation for residents to the existing library. The third area had to do with permitted uses. There's a chart that shows in each of their 4, they've divided the project into 4 areas, and the chart shows in each area what's permitted and what's not permitted. And we said that it should be modified to make clear that liquor stores, auto repair shops, and bars are not allowed. And to also eliminate hostels, hotels, microbrewery, bed and breakfast, and wine bars as permitted uses, because we don't think any of those uses are compatible with the goals of the project. The next area, which they call traffic control, Billy has comments have to do with Harbor Boulevard. They make a reference to Harbor Boulevard having excess capacity. So we tell them it doesn't and ask them to delete that. We talk about the fact that there's all these changes coming that's going to take away and use up that excess capacity. They also talk about the fact that the right-hand lanes of Harbor Boulevard are going to become bus lanes. Well, what they're referencing is in the connectivity plan, there's an idea that for special events, they might cone off, but there was never a plan to delete and make them bus lanes. So we asked them to delete that from their plan. We also recommend that they put a footbridge across Harbor Boulevard at 3rd Street. They had originally proposed that when they proposed that little park, and then they took that out. So we're recommending that be put back. And that would have great implications for traffic because it would keep people from hitting them walk for the kids to cross the street to go to the park. And then the last thing we address is the urban forestry standards. And there's 2 comments in here. The first one is that the community plan is a part of this of the zoning update. There are landscaping standards being developed specific to San Pedro, and so we're saying that those are the ones that they should use in here. And the other comment, actually, Alan Franz wrote quite a long comment on the arborist report, and that's included. So that's what's before you.
Out of committee.
Out of committee.
So we'll go ahead and take any public comment. Looking around the table. John?
Yeah, can we vote on this until all these things are put in there? Or are we just going to vote on it and okay it and think that they're actually going to do it? They're not going to do it. Where you're bringing things to the table and they say, well, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, they're going to do this, and we're voting on a blank. We're voting blank here.
I think there's 2 parts to what you're asking, John. One is that the specific plan, when it is adopted, they have to follow when it's adopted. These are comments on what they proposed. They don't have to accept any of our comments. But these are comments that we would like them, changes that we would like to see in what they have proposed.
I understand that, but we don't have to agree on a blank piece of paper either.
Okay.
I think you're saying that we're voting only on the changes we want to make.
Right. The comments that we want to give to them, yes. Right. And those would go to the planning department as well.
Any other questions? I see no other hand. Oh, Kelly?
If we don't put in what we want to see happen, then we have no voice in it. This isn't going to be the final stage of anything. This is telling them, look, we want you to look at this, this, and this. This is my 2 cents.
Thank you. Okay, I see no other hands, so let's go ahead and take any comments from the audience. And Lori? That would be nice.
Thank you for the parking. I think it needs to be a little stronger with the supportive housing. The governor signed off that they don't have to provide any parking in any of these new housing. And so like Beacon's Landing and Western Landing, there's like over 80 units and there's 6 parking spaces, but that's for the staff working there. And what's going to happen is the neighbor, even assuming that somebody coming out of homelessness doesn't have a car, we're hoping they do, but people who do, they're going to park in the neighborhood that's already being impacted. So in this area, there's already a difficulty parking. So even asking for 1 space, is there any information somewhere that says an average apartment has this many 1.2 cars, 1.5 cars? I know you looked at that with Ponte Vista.
Yeah, we did look at citywide, but we don't know what that is within Rancho. But we do comment in our comments about the fact that it's already impacted in terms of parking. That's already impact. They're proposing 1 space, which doesn't seem like enough. I'm not sure we have any leverage because code allows it, and as you say, they could probably get away with less, but we think they should have more.
Granted, we want people to get out of their cars. We get that. But until we have a real transportation system, it's not feasible for people to get to their jobs. So I think it's a huge issue, and I would say to recommend that they ask even more. But that's just...
No, we are.
You're asking for 1.
No,
They're proposing one. We're asking for more.
Okay. Thank
you missed that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I said earlier on in the meeting that we want to keep our meeting as compact as possible, so we're going to go around once and just one quick comment. We're not going to have multiple questions under one comment, so we can get through this.
You know, Ray, this is a big deal. This is a big deal.
You have not been recognized. Okay. I'm going to go to Cynthia, I'll go to Gwen, and then you'll be recognized. So, Cynthia.
Thank you. On this one parking spot per unit, is it a dedicated parking spot or is it just open so someone can take it and they won't have a spot anyway?
Well, the parking is underground under each
then
building.
It's dedicated.
So it's dedicated to that building, but it's not dedicated to that person. It's just dedicated to the building, I believe.
Gwen.
So electric vehicles and infrastructure for charging stations and things like that, is that could that possibly be something under consideration for a future volley or future round of
They have a certain number of electric vehicle parking spots allocated, if that's what you're asking. They also have a car share, which is an electric vehicle car share.
I understand that one, but are they relying on that for their numbers?
Are they
the car share? The car share, was that part of their logic in minimizing the amount of parking spaces, dedicated parking?
No, they think they're increasing the amount of parking spaces.
And
they're more than meeting code, and they're doubling on a per unit basis from what they have now. They're doubling. We're saying even though you're doubling it, it's still not enough.
Yeah. Thank you.
John?
This is going to be worse than Point Vista. And if we don't wake up on this board, because this board okayed Point Vista, this is a Point Vista. If you go by there, it's a disaster. This is going to be a bigger disaster. You vote yes on this, you give them a green light. It's not about, well, they're going to fix it. No, you already gave them the green light, and their green light is go. No. So this is a disaster. If this board wants to put their name on this disaster, that's fine. But they already have a name on the other disaster. They have a name on the Science Center that they put their name on, that they had a disaster there. It's just one disaster out of another, and it's coming from Planning and Land Use Department. It's a total disaster.
You want to respond, Diana?
Well, it's going to be a significant change to have that many units in that area. When we were fighting Ponte Vista, one of the things we said was the density in San Pedro needs to be in downtown San Pedro, not out here on Western. So there was kind of an agreement with the Central Neighborhood Council, who was saying they like to have density in that area. So we kind of said, okay, that's where the density belongs. But it will be very dense. It will be a major change for us to have that density there. On the other hand, we have a huge problem with the shortage of housing right now. There were, Lori may be able to help me, I think it's 43 units, I'm trying to remember, in the housing that just opened up, the affordable housing that just opened up. No, the one on 9th Street. No, it was 63 units, and they had like 4,300 people apply for the 63 units. So there's a huge need for affordable housing, but it will be a change for our community.
Vic, you'll take the last question here.
Just clarification and suggestion, or if you know. You said that the parking was under the building and there was a number of spaces not assigned just for any resident who lives in the building?
You know, I'm assuming they were not assigned. I don't know that.
Okay, because I'm thinking if they're not assigned, they're also, and even if they are, but mostly if they're not, there probably needs to be some sort of enforcement of, no guests are parking in spaces when they're not supposed to be there because they're for the residents. It's things like that.
And they also have some on-street parking as well.
Okay, thank you all for your comments. Any one last round comments from the audience?
No, I just want to say they did not have visitor parking, which is one of the things we comment on, is the need for visitor parking.
Okay, I see no other hands, so can we go ahead and take a vote?
Okay, John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. John DeMiglio.
No.
Cynthia Gagne.
Yes.
Gwen Henry.
Yes.
Melanie Albrecht.
Yes.
Kayla Miller.
Yes.
Abby Norman.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Aye.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Adam Stevenson. Yes. Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Okay, it's 12 ayes, 1 no. That carries.
Thank you for all your work on this, Diana.
Oh, thank you.
It's a lot of work. Okay, we'll move up to Budget and Finance Committee.
Yeah, this will be real quick. Go to page 22. And this is the MER. And as you see, we've got net available of $26,931.32. And the expenses that were for this month. So this is out of committee. Any discussion? Okay, call for the vote. Thomas?
Aye.
John Barbera?
Aye.
Vic?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
John DeMiglio?
Yes.
Cynthia?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Gwen?
Yes.
Melanie, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
And Michael?
Yes.
Okay. Next is the budget. And that's on page 24. And the same number up at the top, 26,931.32. And then, as you see, we've in unallocated, we have $5,770.42 left. We've got $6,000 in grants that I moved over, and that leaves the total of $26,931.32. This is out of committee. Any discussion? Okay. Thomas?
Aye.
John Barbera?
Aye.
Vic?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
John DeMiglio?
Yes.
Cynthia?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Gwen?
Yes.
Melanie, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
And Michael?
Yes.
And that be it?
Okay, great. Thank you. I see that Drew is here. I think I saw her. There she is. Drew, you want to go ahead and give your report? Sorry, I caught you right with a little bit of food there. So. And by the way, thank you for being here. I know you've had a very long day already, so thank you for being here.
Sure thing. I just came up from the menorah lighting on the harbor front. It was a nice event. Glad I was able to come up here. Pizza's great. Thank you for having dinner. I really appreciate it. Every time I'd go to Coastal, it'd be long and nothing happening on that front. So anyway. But since I'm not there anymore, I can say that. It's going to be really brief. I know that there was a little bit of frustration a couple weeks ago. There was some large asphalt patching on Bandini between like First and Santa Cruz. It's actually a temporary fix. They're going to be resurfacing all of Bandini between First and Sepulveda. It's going to happen probably in March of this coming year, and this is the proposed timeline, bearing any unforeseen challenges such as rain or weather. The first thing is they have to design all the LA curb ramps between North Bandini, or on North Bandini between West Sepulveda and First Street, and that'll take about 30 days. Then they're going to construct the ramps. That'll take about 2 to 3 weeks. And then the third and final portion is they will resurface the entire portion of North Bandini between West Sepulveda and First Street, including the LA County portion, and that'll take 1 to 2 weeks. So we're hoping this will all commence in March. Let's see. And traffic advisory, the Vincent Thomas Bridge will be experiencing nightly closures starting tonight through the rest of the week. The bridge will close in the northbound direction Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, beginning as early as 8 p.m. and ending at about 6 a.m. And on Thursday and Friday, the bridge will close in the southbound direction, also about 8 p.m., opening by 6 a.m. And the closures are going to allow allow the crews to continue safety upgrades on the bridge cables. And work on this project began in October and is anticipated to continue through early January. Throughout this time, overnight closures are planned in both directions of travel, except on weekends and during holiday travel. So for next week's closure, DOT gives like a whole map of how you need to go. If you don't need to go into Terminal Island, I recommend just taking Anaheim all the way through, or PCH, if you don't want to head all the way up to 405. And there will be detours though if you need to. And it seems that the detour also is taking PCH all the way around 47 and then looping back to the bridge in case you need anything on Terminal Island. All right, and I also wanted to thank everybody here and Northwest for coming out and having a great showing on Saturday evening at the Winter Wonderland event here at Peck Park. It was my first event as a field deputy, and it was really heartwarming to see the support and see everybody come out and have a really wonderful event. So I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being there, for hosting the activities for the kids, which was amazing. For those of you who don't know, they did cookie decorating. All the neighborhood councils came together, and I really appreciate that. So with that, I look forward to the next events, and I'm here once again if you need anything. I also have business cards now, so if you need one of those, let me know, and I'll be happy to give one out. All right, have a wonderful evening. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and if you have any questions, I'll yield to the floor for a few minutes.
So, okay, we're going to start around the table. I see Gwen's hand up, and then Melanie. So, Gwen, go ahead.
Regarding the VTB bridge closure, I just went up there, and for 2 days now, they've been saying 7 p.m. closure.
Really?
7 p.m. Oh, yes. That the times that you may, that this is a common issue, that they have different times, what they post, and what actually occurs. So I would check on that.
Hold on, I have to go get my assistant. Hold on one moment.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I would always.
All right, this is my trusty assistant.
Yes. Hi, baby. So 7 p.m. actually would probably the best thing to announce. Yeah.
This is like a Caltrans traffic advisory. It comes directly from Caltrans. So if they're posting different, so you're saying on the signs themselves on the road, it says 7 p.m.?
Oh, yes, it does.
But does it actually close at 7 p.m.?
I do know that I just came down the 110 freeway, and I believe in anticipation to that, the VTB on-ramp, the on-ramp to Terminal Island, the rest of it, it's really jam-packed. I believe that people are really anticipating that it'll be closing at 7. I mean, two of the signs both coming and going. They say 7 p.m.
All right, thank you. I will bring that up with them and ask them
and you should check the morning time as well. I believe it's also an hour later.
7 to 7?
Yeah, you should
7
check
to 7
on
closure?
I think it's even 8 a.m.
To 8?
8 a.m. 7
All right, I'll check in with Shane from DOT. Yeah, this is kind of alarming
but
for me to hear.
The 7 p.m. is...
Are you saying that it opens at 8? The Vincent Thomas?
The closures are an hour longer on each end.
I go to work that way, and I leave the house at 7:15, and I go across the bridge.
Well, I know. Well,
it's supposed to be starting tonight, so I guess we'll see tomorrow. But I'll follow up with Shane first thing in the morning and see if there's any inconsistency between the directive that he put out and what's actually going on the bridge.
Also, I'm hoping that McOscar's office might help to alleviate the confusion. When I go to the Caltrans site to try to find out about those kind of closures, it is a very complex, not easy process, and it's always confusing and often misinformed. So,
You know what? I'll talk to Sophie. She is our comms director to see if every time there's going to be a closure in San Pedro, we could just put it on our site.
it would be great.
Yeah, and that way it's just like a one-stop shop, and you don't have to navigate the bureaucracy of Caltrans. And
It's really bad.
or I'll see. Or you know what? I have the power to put it in a newsletter going out on Saturdays, so I can put those in the newsletter as well and include the maps. But I think the website might be the place to be. And if we're able to do that, then I'll update you and let you know.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure thing.
Melanie.
This is on something you didn't talk about, but from the last meeting. Remember the signs that went in on Capitol for the trucks? Mm-hmm. So are you aware, this is one thing I talked to Valoni about, are you aware that they put the signs in about the 3-hour parking and no semi-trucks?
Yeah.
From 7-Eleven to like half the park. So you get to the crosswalk at Berrywood, and then they didn't put them in the rest of the half of the park.
Okay, all right.
And I'm like, and even Russell was like, what is this? So now they can park where the parking crosswalk is there and just use it as a rest stop still.
I'll check into it.
So the other thing is, Russell and I were talking today, and he's not here because of the badge thing, but we need to possibly sit down with you and meet and do a strategy here, because this problem with the trucks, now because the signs are up, they're dropping their trailers in the middle of Capitol and lining up, and the other day he had to put his sirens on and get out there after they arrested the guy at Target because they were all the way in the middle of the lane on Capitol and turning and all the way down Gaffey.
Yeah.
Waiting to get into that gas station.
Maybe we can loop the DOT in on this meeting.
Huh?
Maybe we can loop the DOT in on this meeting, the Department of Transportation. If you think that would be helpful.
We
If
need
not,
to
then
probably
we can-
get them involved because something needs to be done. I've talked to SoCal Gas several times, and now they're kind of saying...
So whose trucks are these?
Oscar's like, well, we're making money now. We weren't before.
But whose
this
trucks are
isn't a
these?
port like gas station.
No. Well, whose trucks are these that are stopping? Port
It's
trucks?
all coming from the port to fill their natural gas. Instead of having to
at the
go
natural
wait in
gas
line
station.
at the port to fill their gas, they're using that little gas station. They're breaking the curb. They're parking all in front of Target. They're parking. There was an accident Saturday because somebody was trying to exit Johnny's auto body, and a truck hit the car because they were all lined up there.
Oh, my.
Johnny is complaining because he can't get in and out of his business access. Target's complaining because they can't get in and out of their business because they line up and block there.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about it. Can you email me?
Huh?
Can you email me and we'll set up a time to meet about it?
Yeah, I'll set up an email and maybe you and I and Russell can strategize.
Yeah, do you have my email address?
No.
Okay, it's Drew, D-R-E-W, .leach, L-E-A-C-H, at lacity.org.
How do you, L-E-A-C-H?
L-E-A-C-H.
Okay.
Like Robin Leach, lifestyles of the rich and famous.
lacity.org. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll email you and I'll plan with his schedule to see what we can do. It might have to be after the holiday.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean, whenever, what I would appreciate is if you could let me know maybe 3 or 4 dates and times that work for you, and then I could check those against my schedule and we'll loop in Officer
Yeah, 'cause
Baloney.
they're also-
And then I can see if I can get DOT at least on like,
Because they're also, I got a phone call.
like visually, maybe
weekend
like, you know,
from
like
David
virtually they
Riviera
could join us.
saying that they were parking on Westmont too as a truck stop.
Oh, brother. Okay.
So,
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that doesn't sound so great. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate it. But yeah, let's meet and talk about it.
I appreciate your help on this. I'm
Yeah, of
getting lots
course.
of calls.
Yeah.
John?
Okay.
Is this your meeting?
Yes, right?
John?
Is that me?
Yes.
Okay. Is all right? Okay. Just to verify sort of what she's talking about, these are independent truckers coming in that are fueling there, and there needs to be a facility closer to the harbor where these trucks can fuel there instead of
So
now.
there's just nowhere closer, so that's where they're coming in.
Yeah, basically, yes.
Okay.
And they're blocking everything.
I mean, that's something I can loop Sergio in and see if he can like raise it with the port. Anybody else?
All right.
Yeah,
Oh,
Michael. Yeah, Michael.
Do we have, I heard briefly about the pickleball courts coming to Peck Park.
Yes.
Something I heard, glorious information, the potential of something in spring.
Yes. They're just working on finalizing, I believe, the contract
All right.
for it.
Perfect.
So yeah, that will be happening. There's just no date yet.
That's great news, though. I just wanted to hear that spring area.
Yes.
Great.
Yep. And hopefully by next meeting I'll have a little bit more concrete information. Yeah, I like to share information when I have a concrete, not just oh, it's here, because government, they can say they're going to do one thing, but then they actually don't do it, and so that's why I don't like to get hopes up. But yeah, that's the word. The word on the street is that there's going to be pickleball here at Peck Park.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thanks guys. Anything else? Just leave those
I
cards.
think that should be it. Drew, thank you so much for being here.
Sure thing. We'll see you next month. Happy New Year.
See you next month.
Leave those cards.
Thank you, Drew.
All right, let's go back to agenda item number 6. We are going to finish with the last item under the executive committee.
Are we going to vote?
I beg your pardon? That was under the consent calendar.
We did all of that.
We did that already on the consent calendar.
Remember, I moved it. Yeah.
So we're going to move on to item 6C, and that's under the executive committee. This is a motion, and this is out of committee, and this is a resolution to allow Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council, and this for the board and the committee to meet virtually in accordance with SB 411. And if you look at page 44, that's the letter that we will use after the vote. And as was indicated earlier, we need to have 2/3 of the board, the registered board vote, which means that we got to have 12, right, Vic?
Yes.
12 people vote for the motion so that city council can, you want to say something, Mr. Octaviano?
I have one on our database that we only need 11. I didn't have an information earlier.
Okay.
So I think we rounded it down.
That works for me.
You need 11. Okay.
Yeah.
So 11 people have to vote for it out of our board so that we can be considered for virtual meetings. I think the language that they're using is teleconference meetings.
Cheryl, can you put the...
Now, if you look at page 34, you'll see a lot of background information, including the actual Senate bill, and then it goes on through there. So feel free to read it at your leisure, but we have to have a vote. So we can, it's not a committee, so we can take discussion, and then we'll take the vote. So I saw Thomas's hand up first, and I think I saw Michael. No? Vic?
Let me give some intro first.
Okay. Vic wants to give some information.
Just a little bit of intro leading into this. I just want to make sure people understand this is not a resolution to say we are going to have our meetings 100% virtually. This is a resolution that says we have that option. Currently, we can either meet 100% in person, hybrid according to AB 2449, and that's it. This gives us a third option that if we so choose by committees, each committee can decide on their own, to meet other than the way AB 2449 requires, and to meet, it could be hybrid, it can be full-time, it could be 100% virtual, then we have that ability to do that. So for tonight, all we're doing is voting on giving us the option to go up to and including 100% virtual. We're not saying this committee is going to, that committee is not. We're just saying we have the option, we want the option to do that. And I just wanted to give that as an intro in case that answers any questions people may have.
So we can go ahead and start taking questions for clarification. So Thomas, and then Angela, and then Kelly, and Mr. Barbera. So Thomas.
Yeah, thanks. You kind of answered the question. So, my understanding is that we will have a separate vote, and maybe you could explain what the process would be, because I'm very much in favor of this for committees, but would like to know for this meeting, is it the same 11 would need to vote to move this virtual for any meetings, or what's the process? I know some are concerned about everything going virtual, which I'd agree that'd be a concern. I wouldn't want to go to that, but I don't know what the next step is if we allow this. I'm in support of this, particularly for committees, but others we might get better votes if people know what that next step was for the stakeholders meeting in particular. Or do we not know?
Vic, you want to answer?
So you are asking what the process is to decide whether a given committee is going to go virtual?
The stakeholder in particular.
The board meeting.
Yep.
My understanding, unless we choose otherwise, I suppose, would be that each committee would, and I'll get to the board part, but each committee would vote amongst themselves, committee members to, how virtual they want to get, I guess you could say. And likewise, I would assume that the board, us, would do a similar thing. That will not take place at this meeting. That would have to be at a future meeting. So that would be the more detailed discussion of the pros and cons of, actually going virtual. But that's a moot point if we don't vote to have the option to go virtual in the first place. And that's what this resolution is tonight.
Thank you.
Angela.
Okay, so just to clarify, if this motion passes tonight, then the committees are free to start voting on their individual committee meetings?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Okay. I'm not exactly sure that's completely correct. This is
City Council has to approve it.
City Council still. This is let's City Council approve. Octaviana.
Well, I would assume that after tonight, someone will fairly quickly submit the CIS, and at that point, we've already informed the city. We're not waiting for approval. But if there is an opposition, which we're not expecting, then at that point, boards would not be able to
My understanding from the wording of the bill is that once a neighborhood council submits their resolution or CIS, it's implied that at that point they can go forward with virtual. However, it does give the caveat that once they do that, the city council has the option to pass I think it's something like pass a resolution to prohibit it. But until that resolution is passed, then it's proceed virtual if you want to.
Right. I think we said the same thing.
Yeah.
Angela, you made your comment? All right.
I did.
Okay. Kelly?
Okay. I've had enough of Zoom and virtual. After teaching on it and stuff, I think that a committee that is a neighborhood committee needs to be in the neighborhood so that we have access to community members and stuff. After doing all of the community outreach we've been doing and how we've been reaching out to people and trying to get them more involved, I think that if we go back into our homes and for me, going into my bedroom and falling asleep while we're listening to meetings, I want to be more of a community-based committee, and that's what we signed up for to do. So, my 2 cents.
John.
Yeah, I basically feel the same way. I mean, I would rather, be face to face with the stakeholders and talk to them, and we can get more out of it. Look what happened last month. 85 students are here. Whether they would have come on virtual, I don't know, but at least here we can converse with each other, talk about this and that, and sitting at home, being lazy, go get something to drink and everything. I said that was great for COVID, but to me it's just not an excuse right now to go back to virtual. I'm sorry.
Okay. I think I saw Gwen's hand up. Yeah, Gwen.
Actually, this is kind of a question for Octaviano. Now, in regards to everyone's comments, of course, the City Council and other committees that meet at City Hall, they have the hybrid option. Of course, there's a budgetary concern with that, being able to have the technology and possibly, for example, in Peck Park, the Wi-Fi does not accommodate such things. Do you know if City Hall is considering such matters and whether to provide budgets for the neighborhood council system in order to be able to accommodate a hybrid, which I believe is really something that they should consider because they do have that for all the paid positions. And this is an elected position. We have all of the responsibilities of getting that information out to the community. And are they considering a budget outside of our little 42 or 28,000 or whatever we get?
There is a council file in relation to the city council possibly in the future considering putting resources behind supporting the tech side of having virtual meetings. And I forget the amount, but it's very expensive to fund all 99 neighborhood councils and their equipment and the staffing for it. But nothing's stopping each neighborhood council from using their budget, their 32, towards buying equipment, which some neighborhood councils have already.
But there is an equitable imbalance that some locations do not have Wi-Fi access in their area. And so, for example, Peck Park does not have the technology. This is they actually should have that kind of thing, but the city has not provided that to this particular city park.
Yeah, and I don't remember if Northwest submitted a CIS on that council file, and I have it on my laptop, but that might be something to file a community impact statement on that council file with those particular considerations, unique to this building, to this community. I'm not sure how many other neighborhood councils are having the same challenge of installing a Wi-Fi and the brick being a challenge to it, or the echo of things, or the microphone quality. All those things are very unique to everybody. This is a bigger room, and I've been to smaller rooms where it lends itself better for a closer meeting and not such expensive equipment.
Places like West LA, they don't have problems on their sites, because there's more money there, for whatever reason. So, it needs to be equitable. And that should be considered, that that there should be a balance so that 99 councils do have
Point of order. This is not part of the topic for the resolution. This is for CF 231113.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I have Melanie and then John.
Yeah, as far as what this will do is allow committees, like smaller committees, or you can alternate between public and in-person, depending on people's schedules, depending on also if somebody's sick. Like if I'm sick, I can still run my meeting from home and be on virtual to run it and just, base it on whether or not it just gives that option. But also as far as hybrid goes, there's the 2311.3 that's for funding right now that's on the city council file. It's added to this SB 411 that Vic had talked about that we should probably weigh in on at the next meeting. But the thing is, one of the problems with hybrid is going to be costs, because we're going to have to buy cameras. We have to be able to have someone that can do it and operate it, that's able to run a hybrid system for us and have it, run efficiently. So that's the other thing to consider. I don't think that anybody is suggesting that we go completely virtual at this time, but if the pandemic hits up again, we can have that option to at least be hybrid for those that are sick to still participate and be at home, rather than being here and not have a quorum. We can still have our quorum that way. It kind of helps us to be able to have our numbers for our meetings. It's something to think about.
John?
Yeah. Zoom was a disaster.
Say that again?
Zoom was a disaster. During COVID was a disaster. And now we want to go back to that. And then it also eliminates older people that don't know how to function a computer. It eliminates lower income people that don't have a computer. It eliminates a lot of people. If we get sick, out of the 15 years or so, people have been getting sick and they haven't showing up. It hasn't changed anything on the board at all. There's still enough board members to pass or not pass what they need to pass. This is an excuse for board members to sit at home and get a snack or do whatever they want to do, shut the screen off and do whatever they want to do, and it's not benefiting the community at all. There's a lot of people that can't get on Zoom, and that has to be considered before we vote for this stuff.
Adam.
I think that we should reiterate that it basically gives us the option, right, if we need to do it. But at the same time, if I remember when I first became a part of this board and we were on Zoom, I had a habit of paying attention to the numbers of people who were logged on. And I can almost promise you every meeting that we had on Zoom, our numbers were higher on Zoom than I've seen in this building the entire time that we've been coming, because it gives people the option. So if you're going to imply that we need to be able to involve stakeholders, then you have to think of the mother who's at home cooking dinner right now or taking care of her kids, like Drew, who would love to be here, but she cannot because of homework or whatever the case may be. So again, the whole time that I remember being there on Zoom, your numbers were higher than they have been at all since we've been in public.
Thomas, and I think this will be the last comment. Oh, okay. We have one more on the audience.
Yeah. The first one I had a question, so I wanted to speak, listening to everybody. I want to strongly encourage everyone to give us the option, having agreed to serve as a chair of a committee, both pre and post. You know, we've had to cancel more meetings in person or had meetings without a quorum where we can't do our business when we've been in person. So I really think this hampers those that serve some of the community or some of the committees. I want to reiterate what Adam just said. I've surveyed my students extensively on how much online, how much hybrid, how much in person. And I think you need to have an option, you need to be responsible to go back and forth, because like your example, so many working mothers, so many folks with other commitments could participate virtually. We had a lot of students here for extra credit in person, most had ever seen, but they're not here right now. There were more of them tuning in on Zoom. You know, I noted those numbers. So in terms of really trying to best serve the community, I think we have to look. I don't know what the current youth member feels, but I know if the previous one was here, he actually had several of his friends who would participate virtually, right, but aren't able to with commitments to get here. And the young people sometimes can't drive or safely bicycle, you know, with the dark. So would consider folks think, you know, really seriously, this is a supermajority for this vote to give us the option. That's why I was asking to see, well, we need a supermajority to actually schedule this meeting in person, so those who don't want this one to go online would be reassured. But I know it would hurt my ability to serve my committee as a leader if I didn't have the option to go virtual. It would allow us to work in a more expedited manner. And some of these port issues, I only get 30, 45 days. So it really is a big deal for environmental safety if we can't vote on issues. Thank you.
Last question will be from the audience, and that will be Lori.
Thank you, and I'm trying to stay within the scope of what you're actually voting on tonight. But just a couple of points. One, I'm just curious that should you vote yes to have this option, and you would need to vote with the board whether you're going to meet in person or virtually or hybrid. Do you feel, and this is just sort of a rhetorical question to think about, do you feel that each committee should have the right to decide how they're going to meet, or do you think that the board should have a discussion and we should be consistent And if we're going to meet, the board meets in person, you know, I personally think the committee should meet in person. And the other comment I wanted to make is when people are saying that you had better attendance when you were online. Well, first of all, it's holiday time. We always have no attendance at holiday time. But if you look back at who was attending on the Zoom meetings, you had the relatives, you had spouses of people who were on the board, you had the reporter from Random Links. You did not have, I'm sorry, but you did not have stakeholders attending those meetings. You had some presidents of some other neighborhood councils. You did not have stakeholders. If you want more stakeholders, and I really think we need that engagement, then we need to look at how we're doing outreach. Committee chairs need to get information to the outreach committee about the important topics they're covering so people have a reason. They're not going to come here and just go, oh, I wonder what the neighborhood council is doing. They're going to come because there's a particular issue that they care about. So look at why you're not having people come here. But yes, it's much easier for me to sit in my sweatpants at home on Zoom, but I'm telling you, you have much better conversation and engagement in person, but you're always going to be split on this issue. For now, you're just voting on the option. But I just asked you to think about this, the importance of human contact. I think it's critical. When you used to do meetings online, sometimes I felt like half the people wouldn't even turn their cameras on, so you didn't even know who you were talking to. You really lose something there. So when you were elected, it was to meet in person. Thank you for letting me speak on it.
Okay, thank you, everybody, for the comments. We're going to go ahead and take the vote. Remember, this is 2/3. The key number is 11. And Vic?
Okay, voting for the option to go virtual, John Barbera.
No.
Vic Christensen, aye. John DeMiglio.
No.
Cynthia Gagne.
Yes.
Gwen Henry.
Yes.
Melanie Lebrecht.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
No.
Abby Norman.
No.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
No.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Adam Stevenson.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Okay, it's 8 ayes and 5 noes, so that does not meet the 2/3.
Okay. You know, I really want to thank everybody who expressed how they felt about this issue. This issue is far-reaching, so thank you for your thought. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for engaging and having the conversation. I really appreciate that. Okay, that closes out agenda item number 6. Let's see. Port Executive Committee.
It went dark, so my report is short. No report.
And no report. All right. Let's see where we at.
One's in person. The previous one was in person.
So let's move on to committee reports. Executive Committee. Let me say briefly a couple of things. We have a motion that we neglected to put on the agenda, but it's going to come up for a vote. But I just want to let you know that this is an agenda item that talks about the West Harbor starting to charge fees to park. And we are asking that there be a reconsideration on that. Hang on a second. So that there's a reconsideration on that. You know, and this is going to be my comment on this. You know, this is a thing that I can understand that perhaps West Harbor is looking to recoup some of their development fees, you know, for West Harbor. But right now there is no West Harbor. Right now what we have is a boardwalk that allows us to get a little bit closer to the water, and that is, to me, is the community benefit that we will be losing if we have to go pay just to go walk on that boardwalk. Now, I'm open to see what that looks like when there is something to actually go out and see and participate and do all this really neat stuff in West Harbor. But right now, personally, I don't see why I have to pay $2 an hour to get out of my car and enjoy the terrific view of the port across the water, and all the stuff that goes on over there. And the fact that, quite honestly, I really enjoy walking my dog down there, and I know a lot of people do that. So anyway, that's kind of the thing. Next month we're going to vote on it. We were supposed to consider this last month, and we did talk about it. We came back and said we need some little stronger language. But I got a call from the developer and said he wanted to come here and talk to us about it or make a comment about it. He never showed up. But in fairness, I will reach out and let him come out and make a comment about that. So with that said, and let me just say one additional thing about something that me on the executive committee has been doing on behalf of neighborhood councils in the harbor community. The Vincent Thomas Bridge redecking project that's going to essentially shut down the bridge for some period of time. And there are 3 or 4 options on the table right now: complete shutdown, one lane going one way, another lane going another way, or 2 lanes going one way and 2 lanes going the other way. I mean, either way, it's going to be from 1 year to probably 3 or 4 years. This is the thing that gets me real concerned. And I'm going to use the fact that right now there is a project on the bridge today. This project, when it was first brought to the community, it indicated that it was going to be about a month and a half that it was going to take to put these gates up on the span, these cables. We are now looking at 3, maybe even 4 months now that they have expanded this particular project. That concerns me, and this is one of the concerns that I have voiced to Caltrans at our monthly community advisory committees that they are holding. Now, I'll let you know that when they first brought this idea about a full closure to the bridge, it was just going to be a project that Caltrans was going to do. The community was going to have to, this is my word, suffer through it with all the traffic redirections and detours and stuff like that. And I'm going to tell you, most of that detoured traffic was going to go through Wilmington. And our neighbors at Wilmington were going to be the worst for all the traffic that was going to be traveling their streets. So I had suggested 2 things from Caltrans. A, we need a community advisory committee so that we are able to get the latest news from the construction project in a timely manner. And B, what we needed to do is to make sure that when they come out with their EIR, the EIR that's going to talk about all the traffic updates and all the detours and all the other health concerns, the environmental concerns, that instead of them putting it out for 30, if we're lucky 45 days, that they give community 90 days to comment on it, to read it and to comment on it. And I'm going to say it right now. They gave us the community advisory committee. I was able to get support from all the elected officials in our community, from federal down to local. And I also was able to get them to agree to a 90-day public comment period. So it behooves us as a neighborhood council to look at that EIR when it's released. It was supposed to be released the first week in December. They changed it to mid-December. Now they pushed it back into January, which means that they're doing the same thing that they're doing to every other project. You can't really take them at face value that what they tell you they're going to do. So we have to hold them accountable as a community. And so anyway, I just wanted to give you that quick update. Okay, Cynthia was first, but she said no. Gwen, quick comment?
With
John?
the Community Advisory Committee, one of the other requests was to also be able to attend the other committees, which were the tech, the engineering portion. I was wondering if you could comment on the involvement and how the Community Advisory Committee is actually collaborating or not collaborating with the other committees, and how that's going.
So originally there was no ask for any other advisory committees. When the request coming from neighborhood councils was to have a community advisory committee. When they agreed to have a community advisory committee, they also developed the idea to have a technical advisory committee and a policy advisory committee. The policy advisory committee was going to be for all the elected officials in the area and any other designees and other key governmental people. The other committee, the technical advisory committee, was going to be for all the various engineers, law enforcement, other organizations like the environmental, the South Coast AQMD. There was going to be, who else is there? The city of Carson is there, Long Beach is there, LA, Department of Transportation, Port Police, LAPD. So when the Community Advisory Committee got wind of now what they've done is now they've essentially siloed the information again, so that the Community Advisory Committee is going to depend on Caltrans to give us the information. I asked that either they collapse all the committees to one committee, or let the Community Advisory Committee representative be a part of that. So right now they have not had a policy advisory committee. There has been no meetings by them, but I believe they're trying to develop a different method of addressing the issues with the electeds, and I think it's going to them one-on-one. The other piece is they are allowing 2 neighborhood councils to attend the technical advisory committee, so that we could talk to them directly about what the community is concerned about. When you're talking to the traffic engineers, when you're talking about the people who are doing the traffic studies, to do detouring, to talk to Caltrans directly. And so I'm one of them, and the representative from Wilmington is the other, who goes to these technical advisory committees, and then we still have the Community Advisory Committee. I'll tell you, when I raise my hand, and it's all during Zoom, by the way. I've done a couple things when I've asked them about, you're coming up with a plan for San Pedro, you're coming up for a plan for Wilmington, you're coming up with a plan for Harbor City. Those are the ones that are going to be impacted the most. I want to know from Caltrans, how many of you have been actually in San Pedro? No answer. But then I got something back. Oh, I think one of our people live in Torrance. Well, that's as close as they get. And then the other question I have asked them, in fact, I asked them this past week, is how many of you have been at the port when there are 2 cruise lines over the weekend, and we got a ship in the docks, loading and unloading, and been on the 110 freeway trying to get off on the 110 freeway onto Harbor, or been on Gaffey, or been on Anaheim, or been on PCH, or Harry Bridges, and trying to navigate that traffic when it comes to a complete standstill, when we're trying to get the dock workers trying to get to work. The community trying to get to enjoy a walk on over at the thing that they opened up for the community. You can't get to it. So anyway, sometimes when I raise my hand, I can see Caltrans rolling their eyes back and saying, "Oh my God, what's this guy want now?" So anyway, that's where we're at. We're trying to, be real open, and they were here once. I hope to get them back down here again when the EIR is released. So anyway, I saw a couple of hands. I saw John, and I think that's it. And I went way over, so I'm sorry, guys. I just thought it might be important.
I just want to thank you, Ray, because you hit it right on the nail with the parking and this bridge problem that we're going to have. You hit it right on the nail. And it's not even, you're mentioning somebody from Torrance. A lot of people from Torrance cut through to Western and they go down Channel Street. I know some people that do that and try to get to the port or try to get to the bridge or try to get around it. It's affecting a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. So, yeah, whatever I can do, I'd be interested in helping you with that.
Appreciate that. Thank you. John?
You remember when they were here and they said that the truckers on the bridge is only 8%. Well, me personally, I'm not being funny or anything, but that's got to be good weed that they're smoking. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I go through there, I went back to work, and it's in Rancho Dominguez, the shop. I take the bridge every morning. And I'll say there's probably 20 cars and 50 trucks on that bridge at 7:20 in the morning. Yeah. So I want to know where they got 8%. Yeah.
So the EIR is going to be released around early to mid-January. That's what they say so far as of last week. In the EIR, they're going to have all the data from the traffic studies. And so...
Times and everything.
Well, yeah, the times that they do it, and most of the time that they're looking at the traffic is during a normal work week day. Not when we are here on a weekend with two ships in harbor, cruise ships,
right,
and all the other truck traffic making it into the access area from harbor and all these other places to get in so that they can unload or load their containers.
Are they doing it early in the morning too when it's so busy?
It's all day long. They're doing it at different times.
And has West Harbor weighed in on this with their opening of all of the things?
No, they have identified the fact that there are current projects that will overlap while they're doing this, and those projects, City of LA projects, other Caltrans projects that are occurring at the same time will impact the project when it comes to to fruition. The project's going to be, like I said, anywhere from 2 to 3 years, and for all we know, it could be longer.
Yeah. And the construction of all of that.
Yeah, and they have identified projects along with West Harbor, along with other ones. So it can be a little frustrating, but we'll keep on persevering as a community to let them know what's important to us. Anyway,
Caltrans can't even get their
John, I suggest you get a plane to drop you. You just parachute toward.
Yeah, I'm in for that, but
swim. What happened to the ferries? What happened to the ferries?
Yeah,
right?
the ferries were a lot easier, but
so anyway, I spent a long time. I apologize for that, but I thought it was information you all.
It's an important issue.
Let me say one more thing.
Go ahead,
through that is if you're going to allow one way each way, and you have one trucker that breaks down, or one car that breaks down, then you have a big disaster.
See you tomorrow, right?
Yeah. So you have to have at least tow truck on hand to create a
even a fender bender.
How is he going to get through there?
Won't go the opposite way when everybody else in front of him is cleared out.
Look, I am going to ask each and every one of you, when that EIR comes out, everyone get there, open it up, and read it, because it's going to affect each one of you differently because of your work patterns, your family patterns, your weekend patterns. It's going to affect everything that you do for the next few years. So just read it. Comment on it. Comment on it as an individual, and comment on it as we'll comment it as a neighborhood council.
Fleet Week.
Okay.
The opening of West Harbor.
Any other questions? Did I miss anything? Anyone? No? Okay. Thank you. All right, we'll move on. I'm sorry. I feel very passionate about this. Let's move on to committee report from Budget and Finance.
Budget and Finance, there's no report, but the Budget Advocate report is in here for page 46. And basically, the top part reads out of the budget. There's 2 council files that have the mayor's budget in them. You can go look at it in the CIS for it. Right now, we're in the midst of full depth of doing the white paper right now and doing meetings. So that's encompassed a lot of it. And so, Thomas, if you're interested in sitting on any departments, they are on Zoom, most of them. The 2 that I'm involved in coming up, if you want to come and sit with me once I have appointments, when they're going to come. I already did EMD, which is Emergency Management Department. I'm on the Olympics, doing the Olympics, as well as the police department, if you're interested in either one of those.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll let you know.
Is there a rec and park?
Huh?
Is there a rec and park budget?
No, there is, but I'm not part of that white paper writing for the meetings.
If you're interested, maybe Melanie can get you that information when they're doing it.
Okay.
Okay. Let's move.
Then public
And
safety
forestry.
is next. So the public safety, page 48. One of the things I want to go over with everybody is an email that Detective Brand sent out that's at the top of this report. He sent it out and we went over it at the public safety meeting. It's important that everybody read this because there's been a lot of break-ins all over the San Pedro community. A lot. And so he sent out this email with his email to everybody start, watching when they're coming and going and watching their neighbors and watching what's going on and car out of place, activity at house where residents are usually gone during the day. Anything you can do to help, just keep your eyes open because there's several people that have been burglarizing all kinds of homes and businesses, and some of them are the same people and they have not caught them yet. So they're really on a verge of trying to get them, and they need everybody's eyes on the community to watch out. So keep a hold of this and jot down this email and just really, really stay focused on when you're coming and going out of your neighborhood and around town to see if you see anything that's out of place. The other thing is, this month, the Assistance League was broke into, and over $9,000 in jewelry was stolen out of the Assistance League. Wow. This guy is identified as possibly being one of the people that's been burglarizing some of the homes. And so he's like a major thief in our area. Another concern that I've been getting a lot of reports, and this is the thing about the vendors on Gaffey Capitol, again at the corner where Target is, and also over on Westmont. Part of the problem is, according to Senior Lead Valoni, is that LAPD has been told to stand down and stand off with the vendors. The only time that they can approach them is if LA County is involved and they're doing a sweep for their license or whatever, to make sure they have all the permits that they're supposed to do. Is the only time, and that's only to escort LA County. Otherwise, there's nothing they can do, whether they're causing a safety hazard or anything else, and they are causing a safety hazard at the corner of Capitol and Gaffey because cars are coming around that corner and people are stopping, and it's a problem. But he said he's been told that they can't do anything. It's a hands-off situation. So, I've gotten several calls from people in the neighborhood concerned about it and saying that they almost got in an accident and stuff, and I'm like, there's nothing we can do. Our hands are tied. The trucks, as I said, on Capitol are a big problem. Officer Valoni, they were making a bust at Target. This guy stole over $1,500 worth of stuff from Target. They caught him, arrested him, took him in, and he was released within 24 hours. Within 48 hours, he is back at Target stealing another $1,500 worth of stuff from Target, and they are arresting him. And so Baloney, after he left, he saw all the trucks were lined up down Capitol and on Gaffey, North Gaffey, going that way. There was tons of them, and I'm like texting him, "You got to see this out here. Oh my God." And people are beeping their cars, and it was a mess. So he went out there with the siren and told them all to get out of there, to leave, and got rid of all of them. But there's no baloney every day out there for it. So the water situation with Target is still a problem. We had asked, as you recall, for vector control to come out last month, and they did not, so we're going to have to follow up with that. The Westmont, I've got great news. The Westmont RV station was cleared, situation was cleared up. I had a second meeting with BlackRock, with SLO Bologna and CD15. It was a much more positive meeting. They are going to start, they have several on their property encampments up in the trees of their property, so they're going to have the new CD15 homeless guys going to come through and clean those out, and they're going to be doing a basically buy half the street. So they're going to buy from Field of Dreams on, so that they have full control over that street and have like security there. So that's what they're looking at now. And then they want to take around the barrier of the land, put a higher, wall, close off the tunnel, and then they'll put solar panels that will provide energy for like 600 homes. So that's one of their projects. And for neighborhood watches, they become a real focus for Officer Baloney, which is good to see. And so what he has asked us to do is help. And so hopefully in March, we're going to do like a town hall for all the Northwest community to talk about neighborhood watches, a public safety town hall, to bring people in and talk about what the purpose is of neighborhood watches and try and fill in the gaps where a lot of them have gone away, and see if we can get people to start stepping up and joining them, as well as running one for areas that don't have them anymore. And that's it.
All right, let's move on for a sense of time. Okay, Thomas?
Just had a quick comment on a new type of scam I heard reported in San Pedro. I don't think we heard last time. I think we heard about the ATM skimmers, but I think there are now folks volunteering to help put your gas pump away. Encourage older people to not do that. They're not doing it to be kind. They're not hanging it up and then they're filling their car up or filling someone else's car up. So I think I heard that was at the Chevron on Western. So it's a new
They're
scam.
telling people to grab it.
They're just saying, "Oh, I'll put it back for you." They're offering to be nice, like, if people are going like squeezing or something, I'll put that away for you, right? But they don't hang it up or
You just put it in their tank.
they just keep it, and then when you drive away, they steal gas. So just be on the alert. I just heard that one last week.
So scary.
Anything else? Okay, let's move on to bylaws and elections. We have a vacancy, so it's been posted, the vacancy, to fill the vacant spot. That's for Cole. So that's up. We should really try to make sure that we pull it off the social media through Christina and maybe post it on our own.
It's on the website.
So, okay, youth and outreach, anything?
John?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So I don't know why the minutes aren't in the packet, because I emailed them the night of our meeting, but we do need to mention the newspaper,
The news article, yeah. Anybody that has any information on the news that you want to put in the article, please let us know. We'll have pictures of the events we took. We're going to keep people updated on VTV and everything, West Harbor, and also Tim. We're going to talk to Tim in January. We're going to find out what he's got, what he's doing throughout our community, road work and cleanups and all of that. So if if anybody has something that they want to do. Huh? This is the newsletter for the community. Yeah. Yeah. So if anybody has anything, please contact Chris or myself. You know, write something up, send us. It's from 150 to 250 words.
Just before the meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Was there anything else? I think that was everything.
No, because everything passed.
Yeah.
Most of our meeting was about the
Yeah.
holiday events. That was just
Yeah. Thank you.
Planning and land use, no one's here. Community issues,
We just had just some discussions about this and that, so nothing.
okay.
This and that.
This and that in a minute.
We're going to jump.
Yeah,
This and that. Okay, what are we going to tell them?
We did a lot of this.
Yeah, we did this and that.
On page 56, you'll see this and that.
This and that.
We basically talked about what's happening in our community, issues, you know, street alleys and this and sidewalks that need, and a little bit of Target there with their problems. So we'll get with Tim on that and see what we can do. And since he's on
There is a page 56, but it's not on there.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
boy, you just like
I know. I love when that happens.
Hopefully you took care of all the concerns of Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
And
Yeah.
for a report about that and this, it's the Port Environment and Sustainability Committee.
Yeah.
Thomas?
Yes, the Port Environment Sustainability Committee, thanks for approving the work we did on the consent agenda. So I'll kind of leave our work to that. I think that's really important to protect the health of our community as you go through. I really appreciate the people in the community and that committee who stepped up, right, to learn about the area that was going to be impacted with their health, the number of 2.5 particle or PM emissions from the ecosim in particular that can actually get into the brain barrier. A lot of people came together to craft those. We haven't had a few members, so we would ask the Youth and Outreach to help send more folks. We did have a student and a mother and a few people in the community attend, and we're very pleased with the work. So just want to thank the committee and thank all of you for embracing our work.
All right.
Great.
Yes.
One thing for the Youth and Outreach, I want to thank everybody that participated in all three holiday events that we had. Candy Cane Lane was one of the best that they've had in a long time, and I thank the people that were there. Abby and Ben did a great job talking to stakeholders, getting them signed up. Once again, we did about 2.5 pages of sign up on Candy Cane Lane, and the parade was awesome, except for the beautiful trolley bus that a lot of the people know what our left arm and right arm looks like, you know. But it'll be different next year. But and also the Christmas tree lighting, it went well. Kelly took over for the cookies for Central, you know, and then again, Ben, Abby, and myself, you know, we just worked the bench and table. We talked around to some people, but all of you that volunteered on the paper, thank you. It's awesome, and looking forward to doing it again with you guys.
Quick additional comment. Please take a lot of the candy that's left over from those events. I got stuck storing it, so I don't plan to take it home. So there's literally bags of candy, and thanks for, sadly, some of the Halloween candy that was wrapped so intricately, right, is still in that group. So,
Thomas, why don't I take them to the police station for the giving badge? Why don't we take them to the police station?
Wherever they go, as long as it doesn't go back to my garage, I'll stay in good graces with my spouse.
No, seriously, we can give them to the badge thing that they're doing.
Someone has to take responsibility. If you want to do it.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Right.
I got to take gifts over there anyway.
Okay, so you'll take care of that.
Yeah, we need to get him out of his garage
Yeah.
because, you know, we're going to roll him out next time by the time we see him again.
I just don't want to get a rat infestation or something.
So we'll move on to the Christian Science Center Ad Hoc Committee. Vic?
Nothing in particular, just the question of what's the status of Community Issues Committee contacting LAUSD to
We will do
come
that.
and speak,
We will
including
do
the Science
that
Center.
Starting January. Well, by the way, his email's still no good. Remember? I told you.
Work on that
Together. We'll work on it. Well, he's on the issue committee.
So Anyone here for the Agenda Evaluation Ad Hoc Committee that wants to report?
They haven't met.
All right.
Adam?
Okay, we'll close out agenda item number 8. Any questions? I think we've been having some conversation going back and forth. Anyone from the community out there? Hello, community. All right, we'll move on. Agenda item number 9. These are liaison reports. Animal shelter liaison. Angela?
Nothing to add to. I'm curious though. I want to talk to Gwen a little bit more about the outreach. We were talking about the need for the public, so maybe we can touch base after or a little bit later to talk about anything that we can do to support that.
Well, the liaison is supposed to get the information. If there's any action to be taken, it should be taken up by one of the committees. I don't know which committee might want to take up animal
Right, but if we
services.
can touch base, then I can maybe go to
I thought it wasn't you, but your daughter who was supposed to be liaison.
They're in partnership.
Oh.
They're a partnership.
Sure.
Okay, then you guys will take it up offline?
Yep.
Okay, great, thank you. DWP, Dan Dixon, not here. Public Works Liaison, Chris, not here. LA Film Liaison, Cynthia, anything?
I keep getting emails from them, but they mostly talk about when to put their paperwork in and when to pay and the times that they're on vacation or the times that they're doing things. They haven't been doing much in LA at all, which is too expensive for them, and the traffic and everything is really hard for them to
They're
close
currently
off streets.
filming down in downtown San Pedro right now. It doesn't affect us, but they got the whole place locked up. I think today and last night, tonight, stuff, some kind of movie. Anyway, stuff is happening, I guess. Thank you for that. Sustainability Alliance, Gwen?
Well, actually, it's more the Trees Committee with the NCSA. Actually, the committee that I've been suggested for, but have not yet been confirmed in any way. A lot of it is coming out of the Trees Committee with the NCSA. There's a lot of legislation that's coming through the state that has been suggested to start trickling out through the different neighborhood councils, and I'll try to get that distributed out to, I guess, the Environment and Sustainability Committee should be the one that should be referred to. But yeah, there's a lot with the U.S. Forestry Division. They actually, I believe that I've mentioned this once before, but Tim McOsker's office, the U.S. Forestry Division has been given a sizable budget, and they would like to work with CD15 in particular for retreeing a district. CD15 has the least amount of trees of any district. That's after a very large study of the urban forest, and so that's coming down the pike. Hopefully, Tim McOsker can be the point person for a large addition of trees, street trees, and they also request, the Urban Forestry Division also requests that there be funding to help them to be able to water it. They can't always ask that the community water these trees once they're planted, but they do need additional equipment in order to fulfill those commitments and keep those trees alive. But CD15 really would benefit tremendously.
I'd like to suggest that perhaps you have a conversation with Alan Franz regarding his work that he's doing with California native vegetation and things like that. They have a space by the fuel depot place. It's a great opportunity to find out what they're doing and how we might be able to start transitioning from water focus vegetation to California native, which is more reduced water? You talked to him. And
Well, with that, to your point, actually, I am very impressed with the urban forestry director. They know, they actually very much are in tune with that. But policies and the actual, what do you call it, the portfolio of trees that are being made available to them is, and what needs to come from the city council in changing the direction of where those trees come from and where they originate and how they're distributed to the city and to the urban forestry department. A lot of those things have to be coordinated, and it would come from the city, from our neighborhood councils, and directed hopefully to our city council member to suggest motions and legislation to make those changes. The other thing, to your point, actual changing to the hardscape. One thing that I had mentioned in the last board meeting that I had attended, which wasn't last time because I had family matters, but of course, Elise and the Chamber of Commerce are talking about redoing the Jedi project for Pacific. And with that, the greening plan had included a changing of the actual streetscape, where there's swales that are created, which are basically collection zones for water, and that when you combine it with native plant landscaping, you no longer have to water those plants. They thrive with that kind of collaboration. So there's a lot of things that can be done to try to really create some noise. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item, data liaison. Gwen and or Vic and or Chris? Nothing?
Well, Ottaviano, has there been anything about videos for the digital? Yeah.
There are videos. I think I shared them with Vic. I can share them with you.
I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, we have the web page full of resources for they don't need them, but just generally interested in data.
And perhaps we should have somebody from Youth and Outreach also participate in that.
Okay. Thank you. That concludes number 9. Any comment? I think we've been having what?
Ray, before you end the meeting,
Okay, let me get through the agenda item. If it isn't associated with agenda item number 9, we can.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I see no other hands, so let's go to 10, which are announcements. If you have an announcement, maybe this is the
does
time.
anybody have any objection? There are 3 whole pizzas left over there. If I take them over to LAPD for the people wrapping the gifts tonight over there. Is there any objection to that?
Nope.
Go for it.
Okay.
Great idea.
Yes.
Everybody on this board. So there is a the Joint Sustainability Committee. There has been a movement to try to pinpoint parkland, or basically city. There are areas where there used to be that are mapped out where there might be city streets, but they don't actually exist. And there's a lot of those areas all through San Pedro. It's a very old community, so there are places that basically if you see a dead end and you see kind of a strip of dirt or anything like that in between buildings, those are prime areas to create little pocket parks or create native plant spaces or a community garden or something of that nature. If the community, if you guys can kind of look around your neighborhoods and see if you see anything like that. I do believe there's one very close to you, Ray, actually, that is a good prime spot where we could possibly do something, because there are kids who kind of cut through an area to try to get to the park, and it could actually be created into a pathway with some natural plantings and things like that. But if we in Northwest San Pedro can kind of look at that, it's kind of difficult to do because on Zima, is it Zima? That's the name of the...
You know, this is really important, but it seems like it's a larger conversation. Do you think maybe you can develop a strategy or something so that if people are interested, they can actually start looking internally to get this out?
It's
perhaps
kind of
to
like you just have to drive around your neighborhood and kind of see if there's a thing and then kind of look at it and maybe give me a call. Let me know if you see something that looks like a dirt lot or a dirt area.
Anything else? Announcements? No? All right. General public comment, non-agenda items. Anything? Then we had that earlier. That's on our agenda a second time. No. Close that. Next meeting is Monday, January 8th, 6 o'clock. Without objection, we're adjourned. At 8:24.
Abby?
Thank you.